In this video today, I'm going to show you how to use Databricks to call a Data Factory pipeline. And now the reason you might want to do this is because Data Factory is really good at copying data from one place to the other, whereas Databricks is not so good. Like, for example, if you're trying to insert lots and lots of rows into a SQL managed instance, for example, you might want to use a Data Factory because that's what it's really good at. And you're going to use Databricks to do other stuff, which it's really good at. And so you want to sort of use the two interchangeably. So you want to go Databricks, call in the Data Factory. When it's finished doing its copy activity, then do something else. This might be a scenario that you find yourself needing to do. And so follow along with me as we do this today.
Welcome everyone. If you want to use Databricks in order to call a Data Factory pipeline, then you are in the right place. Now there's a few things I say you're going to learn from this is how to use secret scopes in an Azure Key Vault, and how you're going to use the service principal then to get yourself a client secret and then use a client, Data Factory client, in order to call that pipeline. So it's all pretty cool. First of all, what you want to do is create yourself let's go into your Entra ID, and you create yourself an application registration, right? The reason that you want to do that is because you want to be able to have, like, here it is, a client ID, right? And you need a client secret, and you need to know the tenant, and you need to know the subscription ID, and you need the factory name, and also where the factory name is located, in which resource group. And once you know all that stuff, then you can get yourself, first of all, get yourself a token, on the fly token, using the service principal. And then you want to create yourself a client. Now, it goes without saying that that principal that you create needs to become a Data Factory contributor on the Data Factory, right? So if you see this, I've created myself an app registration, and I called it DBX SPN 2025-1. And just to show you how I did that from the beginning, I went into my Entra ID, and I went into app registrations, and then I created myself an application by going new registration, gave it a name, and clicked register. Once I registered, I went and made myself, it looked like this when you register. They give you this screen. Then you go to certificates and secrets, and then you create yourself a client secret. Now you can have it for 18 months, 12 months, whatever. So that's up to you and your company on how you have your policies. Grab the value of the secret, of course. And then what you want to do is head over and make yourself a key vault. And I've got a key vault like this. And inside this key vault, I made secrets. And inside here, I've got the name, or at least the app ID. And then I've got the secret that I created in that application registration. So those three things there, plus the tenant, right? Now you can just hard code the tenant, which is no problem. And you can hard code the app ID inside of your Databricks notebook, but you don't want to hard code your secret. So going back to that actual app registration, I want to show you where the app ID is, in case you don't know. So go into here. Your app ID is this one, the client ID. That's why sometimes we call it the client ID, sometimes we call it the app ID. So we've saved this number, and we've saved the secret over here. Then we want to go into the Data Factory, wherever that Data Factory is. And so this is my Data Factory. I go to the access control, and we give a role assignment to that app registration that we created, and we give it a Data Factory contributor. So that's the setup. Okay, so we've got a few secret, we've got an app registration, we've got some secrets and client IDs, and then we've made that app registration a Data Factory contributor. That's the beginning setup. Then you got to go to your Databricks, and there's two libraries that you need to include in here, and you can look at these libraries here. So it's Azure Management Data Factory, and the way I like to install them is through PyPy. So click on Install New, go to PyPy, and then you just type in the package like that, and then click Install. Easy as that, right? So if you want to know where to find your PyPy stuff, go to pypy.org. And then if you just type in it helps to know what you're looking for, but you can see that this is one of the libraries, and you can either pip install it on your Python environment, or you can just grab the name after the install like that, and then go to your PyPy, install new, and just paste that name in there. Simple as that. You don't need this index URL here and click install. So you just need these two libraries, Azure Identity and Azure Management Data Factory, on your cluster. Okay. Once you've got that on your cluster, that's another setup thing. Then let's look at how we do these notebooks and files. Now, I've done it a bit more not fancy, but good ways of working, which is we have a notebook calling a Python file, which has got our functions inside of them. And also I've separated my constants or my common things into another file. So if we just expand this quickly, and so I've got a common constants Python file. Inside of this, I've got a class called constants, and inside of there, I've got the secrets scope, and these are the secrets that are saved in my key vault. Now, to set that up is quite easy. So you go to, so what you want to do is you want to connect your key vault to your Databricks. To do that, you just go to secrets / so it's pound secrets / create scope. Click on enter, and then you can create a scope, and it's going to ask you for your Azure Key Vault DNS and your resource ID. Now, your Key Vault has to allow Azure services to get to it. So if you have, for example, if you've got it like, let's say, disable public access, then you must have this ticked, allow trusted Microsoft services to bypass the firewall. There may be other ways around Databricks trying to create, connect to your Key Vault, but I don't know of any, so just remember that. That's one thing. So just going on to that. So you're obviously going to come to see some of your own problems as you going through this potentially. But anyway, it's easy to create that. So once you've your DNS name, which is available under properties, you go to your Vault URI, that's what you want to put in there, and your resource ID. That's the two things you need. And then Databricks is connected to your Key Vault. To show you that, we'll just go into a notebook quickly, and then we can go to dbutils. Dot, I always forget this, secrets dot list, well, we can just list for now, and then we could list scopes. Let's just do that first. List scopes, and then these are the scopes that have. The scope is the Key Vault, of course. Let's click yes. There you go. So that's the one there. And then if I just take a word scopes away, secrets for me. If I run that, then those are all the Key Vault secrets it has access to. Okay. So just delete that. So I've showed you how to connect your Key Vault to your Databricks, and then this will simply go and get your secret called this tenant ID. It'll go and get all these secrets based on this secrets.get on that scope. That's your class constants. Now go into here, and you'll see that this is your function. Now your function is import your sys, so that you can then point your import to this common.constants. Import your constants class. And then set it like that, constants equals constants, whatever. And then you can start using the things inside of that constants file, tenant ID, client secret, and such. And then you want to import your Azure.identity. Remember, we did that on the cluster. So you want to import these, and you want to import time, because we're going to loop, and we're going to sleep for 5 seconds, and then keep polling that status. So let's run through this quickly. We've got our subscription ID. We need to know the resource group where the data factory is. We need the factory name. Okay, so the factory name is there. Clint ADF1, and the credential. Now we set up credentials. So we're saying use the tenant ID that we have stored in our secret. get the client ID of that app registration we just made, get the secret we made for that app registration, and go and get a credential from Azure. Then we're going to use that Azure credential to create a Data Factory management client. And then we're going to say, all right, we've got a credential and we want to work in this subscription over here. Then we can create a run. So this is the cool part. And we're going to say, look, this is where the factory is. This is the factory name. This is the pipeline I want you to run. And these are the parameters I want you to run when you call that pipeline. And then we want to, if it's a long running process, we want to wait for it to finish. So we're saying, okay, go and get the run ID. And the run ID is going to be this run ID here. So the status will always be changing. As you know, it'll be queued, in progress, it'll be failed, cancelled, or succeeded. So what we're doing here is we're saying, okay, go and find that run ID, first of all. And then while the status of that run ID is either, or if it's not, so if it's in progress or if it's queued, keep going through this loop, keep going through the loop. If it's still in progress, keep going through the loop. And it just checks. So let's say it does succeed, then it'll break out of this loop. And then we can just use some logic here to say, well, if it succeeded, then do this and that, and then return the status of that pipeline. So that's as simple as that. What that command is. So you just remember create_run using the Data Factory management client. There's also other things like .get, which is here. Look, .get. So we're just getting information about that Data Factory pipeline run. So the last thing to show you is just to see how we can call. So I've got a notebook here that calls a Python file, and I'm just normally you would be able to like say import that Data Factory functions file, but I think because I got spaces in my file, it's not working. Not too sure, but I asked little Databricks toggle assistant here to try and import this for me, and this is what it gave me, and it seems to work. So I run this, and then I'm going to call that function that's in that Data Factory functions Python file, and I'm going to pass it like a parameter. So this parameter, actually, if you send it like some bogus parameter name in here, it'll still work, it won't fail, it just won't do anything useful on your pipeline on that side. So let's just say we change this to try 3. I want to call pipeline 1, which is the name of the pipeline. I want to give it the value try 3 for the parameter called fill me, use me. And so I send it the pipeline name, I send it the parameters. So if we run that quickly, let's see if that works. And we'll go to our factory here, refresh this. And it's probably finished. There you go, see this number 3. So if I click on that, expand that, there it is, try 3. Okay, so it ran that pipeline in 3 seconds, pipeline number 1. And remember, it only runs the published pipelines to your actual live factory, not your stuff that's on the Git repository view of your factory. So it has to be published to your actual factory. And that's it. So let's just run through that one more time. So we set up a key vault secret on our Databricks by using that, so Databricks URL, and create the secret scope. And then we create a constants class to go and get those secret values. Then we made sure that we had our libraries onto our cluster. And then we made sure to import those libraries in our file, which is over here. There. So we imported those libraries so that we could then set up a credential and make the client. And that's it. So that's how to call a Data Factory pipeline from your Databricks. So I hope that you learned something today, and give us a thumbs up, like the video, and also subscribe, please, if you want to see more helpful, useful tips like this. Thanks for watching.